Classic mode uses your phone's camera feed and lays a transparent picture that you want to draw over that camera feed. If you look at your phone's screen, you'll be able to see the picture that you want to draw and the place where you want to draw it at the same time. This lets you easily trace an image onto any surface. To get started with Classic mode, you need to suspend your phone above your drawing surface. You can use something like a tall glass, a spray can, or better yet, one of our Vinci Eye phone stands. Links to these stands can be found in the app. If you're using a glass or a can, it's recommended to add a loop of painter's tape to the top and the bottom of the glass, so the phone stays in place when you touch it. If you're a lefty or a righty, it doesn't matter. You can position the phone any way that is easiest for you to draw. Now it's time to position your image on the paper. Press the Move button, and with one finger, you can move the image around. Using 2 fingers, you can enlarge, shrink, and even rotate the image relative to your paper. When you are done positioning your image, make sure to unpress the Move button. This locks your image in place, so you can zoom in to draw fine details, or zoom out to see your drawing as a whole. To adjust the transparency or opacity of the image, press the Opacity button. This brings up the opacity slider. You can move the slider to make the image more or less transparent. You can also switch the opacity on and off using the opacity toggle. Now, let's check out some need-to-know features located in the Tools menu. If the camera seems blurry while you're drawing, go to Tools, then Camera, and then you'll be able to adjust the focus manually using the focus slider. To apply image filters, press Tools, then slide the menu all the way over to Filters, then press Filters. From here, you can do things like change your image to grayscale, add posterization, or blur. Next to filters is the breakdown tool. This lets you break down your image into layers or steps by color value. For experienced artists, it'll help you analyze the notan or structure and composition of your artwork. For beginners, it turns any image into a draw by numbers project. One of the most powerful tools in the app is the strobe feature. This tool slowly flashes the overlay image on and off. This allows you to easily compare color values of your reference image to your drawing. The last absolutely need-to-know feature is the record button. From there, you can record time-lapse videos of your drawings, just like these. Make sure if you post your time-lapse on social media to tag us for a repost. We're at Vinci Eye on all the social networks. If you need help with anything, press the question mark in the top right corner of the screen. From there, you can watch instructional videos, check out FAQs, or email us. We usually respond extremely fast to questions and feedback. And that wraps it up for our Classic Mode Quick Setup tutorial. For more in-depth videos, be sure to check out the instructional videos section of the app, or browse and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we have tips and tricks, live streams, and guest artists teaching drawing and painting techniques using Vinci Eye. get started with AR mode, you will need to create an anchor. An anchor locks your reference image in place so you can move your phone or your canvas, and as long as the anchor is in view of the camera, your reference image will align itself back perfectly with what you are drawing. To get started, take a business card-sized piece of paper or larger. Then take a black pen or marker and add lots of squiggles with many intersecting points and different shapes. The more tiny little details, the better the anchor will work. Also, the larger you make your anchor, the further away from your canvas you can have the phone and still have an accurate placement. It's a good idea to tape your anchor in place on your paper before you draw. This ensures that your reference image will always be in the right place. You should be prompted to make an anchor right away. However, if you want to make a new anchor, press Tools, then AR, then Anchors. To upload your anchor, press Add Anchor. Then press the purple button at the bottom of the screen to bring up the camera. Make sure your camera is perfectly level with the anchor. You don't want to have it tilted like this, or else it could distort your overlay image when it's virtually projected on your paper. When you're finished, press Use Photo in the bottom right corner of the screen. Next, you need to crop your photo. Drag the corners of the cropping frame to just inside the edges of your anchor. Make sure there is no background visible. The last step is to measure your anchor. Make sure that it is at least 3.5 inches wide. Take a ruler and measure your anchor's width. Then, type in the width and press Done. You should be brought back to the Anchor Manager screen. Here, you can press Done in the top left corner. Now your image should appear on top of the anchor whenever the anchor is in view of your camera. Do not try and hold the phone in your hand and draw. You can easily make a stand out of objects found around your house, like with tape and a tall spray can, a tall glass, or a vase. You can also purchase an inexpensive stand like this one. A link to stands that we recommend can be found in the app. Now it's time to position your image where you want it on the paper. Use 2 fingers to zoom out so you can see your paper as a whole. Then, press the Move button, and using 1 finger, you can pan your image. Using 2 fingers, you can enlarge, shrink, or rotate the image. When you have the image exactly where you want it, press the Move button again to lock the image in proportion. Now, you can zoom in to draw fine details, or you can zoom out to see your drawing as a whole. To make the image more or less transparent, you can press the Opacity button in the bottom right corner of the screen. You can use the slider to make your image more or less transparent, or you can use the opacity toggle to turn the image on and off. Now let's check out some of the need-to-know features located in the Tools menu. Once you have the phone set up, you can turn off the phone's autofocus by going to Tools, then AR, then Fix Focus. This will also refocus the camera to your paper if the camera is blurry. To apply image filters, press Tools, then slide the menu all the way over to Filters, then press Filters. From here, you can do things like change your image to grayscale, add posterization, or add blur. Next to Filters is the Breakdown tool. This lets you break down your image into layers or steps by color value. For experienced artists, it's a great way to help you analyze the notan or structure and composition of your artwork. For beginners, it turns any image into a draw by numbers tutorial. One of the most powerful tools in the app is the strobe feature. This tool slowly flashes the overlay image on and off. This makes it easier to see where you've drawn already and where you still need to draw, as well as helping you see what areas need to be lighter or darker. The last absolutely need-to-know feature is the Record button. From here, you can record time-lapse movies of your drawings without the overlay, just like this one. Make sure that if you post your time-lapse videos on social media to tag us for a repost. We're at Vinci Eye on all the social networks. We love to see what people are creating with the app. If you need help with anything, press the question mark button in the top right corner of the screen. From there, you can watch instructional videos on how to use the app, check out our FAQs page, or email us. We usually respond extremely fast and love to hear from artists and aspiring artists using the app. That wraps it up for the quick setup AR mode tutorial. For more in-depth videos, be sure to check out the instructional videos section of the app, or browse and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we have tips and tricks, live streams, and guest artists teaching drawing and painting tutorials using the app.
Gotta make sure I turn on the mic before I start speaking because I always forget that. Can you guys hear me all right? Just give me a minute. So if you're watching this after the fact, please say hi in the comments. I want to see how many people are actually interested in this video. If you're watching it now, and just say hi in the chat. You can chat with me live throughout this for questions, or just some small talk, whatever you want. It's fine. I want to talk to people. Okay, so my name's Charity Low. I am a huge fan of the app, not the app developer, but I get to teach you guys. So, good morning. I really recommend you drawing live with me. So you can find the reference photo in the Vinci Eye App's Facebook group in the featured posts, or my personal Facebook page, which is charitylowsart, also in the featured posts. You can find it within the app, which I'll show you later. You can find it within the app through my account, which is charitylowsart. Under inspirations, you just scroll down and you can find the reference there. I would really appreciate it if you send me some pictures of drawings you've done with the app, so that I can include you into the slideshow that I play at the beginning of this video and the middle of this video. Right now it's just me and one other artist. I would love to see a wide range of different styles and different steps in being an artist. So whether you're a beginner or you're a professional artist, I would still really love to see it. So my email is in the description, so please do that for me. And then I can also do requests if you want. I am particularly really good at pencil work, so graphite pencil or colored pencils, but I have done many different mediums. Just ask and we can do something really quick and easy to get you started. Also different types of crafts, like I've done stained glass painting and fabric painting. Pretty much anything that you can think of, I will do that for you. You could also request certain photos that you want to do. You just send me a photo and I will do that for you. And I will even give you my drawing for free if you have a personal photo that you would like done for these lives. Or just a different subject. Like, we don't have to do portraits. We can do a bunch of other different things. If you do not have the app, I do have a promo code for the iOS version in the description. Android's currently free because they just dropped a brand new version of it and they want people to try it and give honest reviews. It does have some ads, but you can, after you figure out if you actually like the app, pay for it. And I'd recommend doing that sooner than later. Tech support, if it's something to do with your phone or tablet, with the app, just something's not right, please contact the app developer at info@davinciieapp.com. He is there 24/7 and is ready to help you. Please join the Facebook group, Vinci Eye App's Facebook group. I do yearly competitions and challenges for cash prize. And then I'm also there on a daily basis, making sure everybody is getting their questions answered, and we can also chat and talk to other artists who use the app. So it's a really great community to be in when you use the app. So we can get into things that you need to know with the app itself. So just give me a second. I really hope that our video doesn't break into two like it did last time, because it cut me off once. Anyways, so here is the app. Let's go back to show you where you can find the reference. So I'm going to go to the main menu, and then you go to the three purple lines on the top left, go search profile, and then you type in charitylowsart. CHARITY. Usually pops up pretty quickly because, yeah. And then you just click on that. You take you to my profile with my drawings. Just go to the little light bulb, press on that. You'll see a lot of free stencils you are more than welcome to use. And then you will also be able to see the reference photos that I use for these live videos. So yeah, like I have some older ones. I don't know why that one's there, but some older references there. But anyways, since this is day 2, one of the cool things about this app is that it will automatically save the placement of your reference in comparison to your drawing if you're using the AR mode. So you go into projects with a little bookmark, and then you should have like all your projects that you're working on saved. So we're just going to click on the image, and then it automatically pops up and it's ready to go. So the AR mode is super cool. It takes an anchor, a black and white scribbles, or you can get this, you can print this off. That's already calibrated into the app, but it just locks the image in place, so you can have your phone tilted if you want. It will make up for that tilt so it doesn't warp the drawing, or you can have your drawing table tilted or your canvas tilted, if whatever makes it easiest for you. I personally like my stuff flat, just flat down. And then you can take the phone, answer a phone call, bring it back, and then you don't have to worry about spending like 5 minutes or so realigning anything. Tools that I love the most is strobe. So this will just go back and forth between your drawing and your reference, so you can see all the little differences and make changes to them as you go. And then I also really like breakdown mode. I usually use breakdown mode for monotoned drawings or paintings. So it's like really good for graphite and watercolor. So watercolor, you just build it up to make it darker. But anyways, what it does is it gives you step-by-step stencils by color value. And what you do is you shade in all the colored areas very lightly for the first layer. And then as you go, it gets less and less space to draw in, but get darker and darker as you go. So it's a really nice base if you want to practice shading. So those are my favorite features of the app. Also, it's really cool that you can zoom into one section at a time and it will still stay aligned and everything. That's also really helpful. Anyways, I'm going to show you some couple of different ways on how to pick color for your colored pieces. One is, well, there's another app, but it's not associated with us, but we really want to have some sort of like collaboration with them somehow. But it's called Colored Pencil Picker. So you just upload your image, select the pencil set that you have, or you can make your own pencil set, click on the area that you want to draw, and it will give you approximately the right colors for you to use for that section. So that was really cool. That was something I did when I first started doing color pencil drawings, just to get me over just the fear of color. But now I do some other stuff, different things now. So one thing you're going to want to do is you're going to either want to get a printed copy of your reference or upload your reference to a photo editing app or drawing app. So I'll show you the editing app first. And then you're also going to want to make a palette using the colors from your pencil set. So I recommend like doing some hard pressure and soft pressure so you can like see the different shades that color produces. And then also write down the number and the name of the color beside each one. So what you will do, for example, if it's on the app, you're going to zoom in, press the color thing, and then that color picker, color grabber. And then you're going to click on that. Well, you're going to look at that little dot there. There's a little dot. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's red, so we can go and check out all the reds to see what best fits that, which is this one right here according to mine. And then you essentially do the same thing, except for you can't really pick out the color while you're doing it. You just do the same, practically the same thing with a printed copy. So you look at a section, and then you take your swatches and then you look to see which one best matches the section you're looking at. So yeah, that's how I do it. That's how I get my colors. One thing you should know is no matter, like if you everything that you try is going to be slightly different than another. So having the exact color doesn't really matter because the screen of your tablet might be different than another. The printer might print differently than another. It's always going to be slightly different per choice, whatever way you want to do it. So yeah, so don't stress out too much. Just don't stress out. Just breathe in and breathe out. We're all good. Okay. So we are going to continue with doing hyper-realistic style, trying, this is, yeah. So this is actually the first time I've actually tried to do hyperrealism. I've done photorealism, which is a little bit like, it's really detailed, but it's not super detailed, if that makes any sense. And I haven't really done any people with like a lot of wrinkles before either. So we're learning together. So yeah, I'm gonna zoom in. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to turn on the strobe and turn up the opacity to its highest so I can see all the little differences between the reference and the drawing. So I'm mostly going to focus on the printed copy of it and for coloring, and I'm going to look at the digital copy for more detailed. So let's see, what do we see that's different, that needs to be changed? So we need to darken up that area right there, right here. And then we need to figure out what color it needs to be. So let's go with like a darker skin tone. I'm not going to give you the exact names because, again, just depending on which method you're going to go for picking colors, it's going to be a little different than mine. So this is the lightest color in this particular area because we want to build up the colors, like fill in the area, while doing this at the same time, making the structure of the face while doing this. And then we can go in with darker colors to add the details. So we're going to do light pressure and circular motions so that we can really fill in that space. It just needs to be a bit darker. And I think some of it's going to look darker once we get some more of those details in too. And it looks like it needs to be a little bit on the warmer side too. Let's see. So we're gonna just tweak the coloring a little bit. Well, first let's do this kind of warm peachy tone. Right in here, just light pressure and circular motions. And then we're going to add some of that nice warm orange in some areas too. We only want to add it where we kind of see it, and it doesn't have to be don't have a very sharp edge around these colors. You kind of want it to blend into the rest. So just put in a little bit more pressure where you see more of that color, and then just slowly get lighter pressure as you go out. That helps with the blending technique. Circles help with making it look like it's a solid color, and using the side of the pencil helps prevent like the strokes, the texture of pencil strokes. Okay, let's take a look at the colors of the wrinkles. Let's see what we can find that would work. All my browns look really similar, and it kind of drives me a little nuts. I need to add another brown to this, but it's something that's different than what I have. Okay, I think I'm going to use this one here. I'm going to turn off the strobe for a bit, turn down the opacity so I can see mostly the reference, and I can also see my pencil. And we're just going to trace those really dark lines. You do not have to do the exact placement of the wrinkles. You can, you kind of go into more abstract when you start doing hyper-realistic drawings. So as long as you kind of get the right texture, you don't have to worry too much about placement. But this is a good start in being able to figure out how you can create this texture. So now that we got the placement down for these wrinkles, we're going to take a closer look in that section and see, I'm looking really hard here. It's very hard. So I noticed that above these wrinkles, it's a little lighter than what's below the wrinkles. So We can add a little bit of shadow just underneath all these wrinkles. We can darken up the wrinkles a little bit too. And I'm doing very tight circular motions. I am using the tip of the pencil for this because it's such fine details, but we are darkening up the lines and then putting shadows right underneath. So really dark lines and then a little light pressure just underneath. And then we can add a few little pores, just a few dots here and there, just really small ones. We can put them in the pores or in the wrinkles, or we can put them just above the wrinkles, just a few. I'm not really too worried about the exact placement of these. And I don't see all these dots everywhere on the eyelid. It just seems to be mostly in the center of the eyelid and the center of the eyebrow. So we can just add just in those areas. We don't need to put it outwards. Do we need to darken up some areas still? I think I do. I think I need to add a little bit more here. I'm still using that same brown, and we're just darkening up the general area. Circular motions, light pressure, and I'm doing bigger areas, so I'm using the side of the pencil. Now, you might be able to see this, but this section right here I finished, and it looks really solid. It almost looks like a painting. And this side still looks quite sketchy and unfinished. How we finish it up, we are going to use a blending technique. I prefer using a colorless pencil. You could also use the lightest color in each section, so of that color that you are using, so that you keep the vibrancy. You can use a white colored pencil, but that kind of makes it more soft and pastel-like. There are blending colored pencil markers, which kind of gives it like a watercolor and marker look, whatever you're looking for. And then there's also like solutions that you can get. So it's just liquid that you use a brush to kind of brush it on to blend, but each pencil is different. So, you got to do some research on that. You could also use hand sanitizer and a Q-tip to blend. But again, I like more control and I like to keep things vivid. I use a colorless pencil. Sometimes I'll go over it with white afterwards just to get some highlights in. So we're going to go over the shadows or like the dark areas first, right where the lines are. And we're going to push that into the paper, do some circular motions to kind of drag it down. So we want to do on the line and then just under the lines. And then we can do circular motions around those little dots that we did too, just to kind of soften them up, make them look like they're in the skin instead of just floating just in front of the skin. We want it to be part of it. And then I'm just going to clean the tip here. We're going to do the lighter areas in circular motions. Now, one really cool thing about the particular pencil set that I have, which is an oil-based pencils. I don't know if it's works for every oil pencil set, but I know it works for this one. You can erase a little bit of the colored pencil. But this method works really well with an electric eraser. So, an electric eraser, there's a little button that makes it spin super fast. And you just place it down, and we're going to do, let's see where the highlights mostly are. For the most part, the lighter areas are just on top of the lines, which makes sense because the shadow's underneath the lines. So we're going to take the electric eraser and just go across the top of these. And then we're also going to add a little bit of highlights just above some of, well, let me just take a look. Yeah, just above some of these little pores. Okay, and then I noticed that there's actually a highlight underneath this wrinkle. So we're going to do a little highlight there. Just underneath it. Where did my horsehair brush go? What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. No, it's not a brush for horses. It's a brush made out of horse hair, just to be clear. This helps remove any dust particles from the colored pencils or from your electric eraser. So we're going to just swipe off all the little extra dusts. And we're just going to tweak it up a little bit more, getting some of those highlights that are just above those wrinkles. We're just playing around with it until we like it. And then I'm going to go in with the white pencil, and I want to go over top of those highlights again with the white. And I'm going to push into the paper pretty good so I can get a nice, smoother texture. Looks like it's filling in the paper, so the paper doesn't have any texture. You can't see the texture of the paper anymore. Now, don't try to gouge the paper. We don't want to make any dents, but we want to fill in those spots to get rid of that. And then I'm going to go over it again with the colorless pencil. Where did I put the colorless pencil now? Where is it? I don't know where I put it. 'Tis the life of an artist. Things go just disappear. They just disappear. Am I blind? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go find it. Find a new one. Luckily, I know where all the colorless pencils are. Okay, bear with me as I sharpen this brand new pencil because I can't find the other one. Do you guys see it? Do you guys see the colorless pencil? I found a different pencil on the floor. Can't reach it though because it's in the corner and there's a desk in the way. Okay, we're gonna go over it again with the colorless pencil. Really, oh, you know what? I was pushing too hard and the pencil broke. Okay. Pushing into the paper, really trying to remove that texture of the paper so it looks really nice and smooth. We want to try to, we really want to try to make the pencil not look like pencil, if that makes any sense. It should look like an oil painting. And let's move on to the next section. I think I'm going to leave the eyebrows for later though. So we're going to just do around, we're going to do the bottom, the under the eyes here. Okay, so we're going to try to look for the lightest colors in the different sections. And what I can see is kind of like a bluish color right underneath the eyelashes. And then it goes into like a pinkish color and then a brown and a tan, and then kind of like an orange, and it all blends in together. So we're only really focusing on the lightest areas to build that up, and then we're going to add the details later. Okay, so let's start off with this very faint blue and try to find the right blue. You might not see the exact color I do, and that's okay because there's millions of different ways to get the color that you're looking for. So if you like see, for example, purple instead, well, it might make sense too because there's blue in purple. So let's use this one right here. So we're going to do some light pressure and circular motions. This is very faint. And we're going to do very tight circular motions, but we just want to barely put this blue in. And then we're gonna go in with that peach tone, this nice pink tone, and we're going to do light pressure and circular motions also. We do not want sharp edges, so it's okay if we go out a little bit past the lines, but as long as you make it quite lighter, so it's kind of just fade it into everything else. want to try to get only as dark as the lightest areas that you see. You want to go any darker than that. Okay, now we got this brownish color. And it's just right in here, light pressure and circular motions. Zoom out a little bit. Okay, what is the next section? So we're going to do more of a skin tone. I think the darker one might be a better choice. Light pressure and circular motions, and it is totally okay to go a little bit outside of the areas in which you see this. Again, do some lighter pressure just around the edges so it just kind of fades in. Have like a really nice blended look. When you're doing blending, or you're trying to blend with colors, you really need to, like, the best way to do it is learn the technique on how to create the effect of it. So you can do darker in the center, and then you just, with a little bit more pressure, and then you just do lighter around the edges so that the placement, how you place down the pencil, is really important for this. Okay, now we gotta go in and get the orange. There's a little bit of orange in here too. Again, you don't need to stay exactly in the same, like in that exact spot. You want to kind of blend it outwards by doing lighter pressure around the edges. Okay, now we can go in with a little bit more detail. I noticed that there's quite a few wrinkles right underneath the eye, but they're not super dark. So we're gonna go in with a dark skin tone to create those wrinkles. And then we're gonna turn off the strobe temporarily. I'm placing the pencil down right where I'm gonna be working, so I can turn down the opacity so I can see the tip of my pencil, but I also want to be able to see the details of those wrinkles. You do not need to get them exact placement, but this is a really good way to get used to creating texture. And then you can just pretty much be abstract when you do future hyper-realistic art. So we're putting quite a bit of pressure in this with the dark skin tone. She's got wrinkles, but they're not super deep here. Okay, I got most of the placement down. I'm going to turn the strobe back on and also turning up the opacity. Sometimes I'm not even looking at the app. I'm actually looking at my reference. Okay, so now I'm kind of going rogue and just adding some more details, kind of more of like an abstract way of doing it. Don't drop your pencils. It's not good. Okay, since I'm in the general area, I also want to darken up the lash line or the tear duct. So I noticed that there is a really dark red underneath her eyes. So I'm going to add that using the app for the placement. So another tip about doing photorealistic or hyperrealistic artwork is that you want to be able to add more layers, as many layers as possible. And the only way to do that is to do light pressure for each layer. Gives you plenty of time to tweak things, change colors, change the shading, change the placement. And then it also really helps with the blending effect too. So this is just the little lip of the eye. It's just that thickness of the skin that we're coloring in. I'm not really worried about putting the eyelashes in at this point either. So here's some other interesting things about, especially when it comes to shading people's faces, getting those really dark black areas or just really dark areas, is that if you mix a little bit of green and red together, it kind of looks more alive than if you were to just put black. But it does get super dark. And you need to have like a dark green for this and a dark red. Can't just do a light green, light red. It needs to be that. So it looks a little bit more alive. There's still quite a bit of dark. I'm going to take a look at that app here for a second. I'm going to fill in this a little bit more. Dark color. Okay, and add a little bit of red on top of it so it doesn't look green. It looks more like a really dark brown or almost black at this point. Okay, there's a slight little highlight in there. So I'm going to take the electric eraser. I'm just going to clean it real quick. And then we're going to just pick that up a little bit. Just bring that out. And not all pencils, not all colored pencils will erase, but the best way to erase is using an electric eraser. So just finding all those little differences, sometimes looking at the app, sometimes looking at the printed reference or the digital reference. Okay, let's make that look more solid and complete by using the colorless pencil. We're just going to go across, following the line of the eye, pushing down, going back and forth, so it looks really nice and solid, and we remove the texture of the paper so that it looks more like a painting, an oil painting, rather than a pencil drawing. I'm going to clean it off a little bit so that I can get the dark tones off. I'm just rubbing it against my clipboard here. And then I'm going to go around the eye here too, because I noticed that it's still got that texture, that paper texture. And soften up some of the lines here. Now I'm going to finish off those little light wrinkles too. I'm going just over top of the wrinkles first, in the dark areas, just following the direction. Just following the direction of the lines. Do slight circular motion for this. And then we can go over it again for the rest of it, doing circular motions to really fill in that space. I'm going to take the electric eraser and bring up some of those highlights. There's just a few. Mostly just right underneath the eyelashes. We're creating texture with this too. So we're following just above those wrinkles. And then we can go over it with some white right where those highlights are. It's much easier to do hyper-realistic artwork when you're doing a oversized piece of art. So we got that down. I think we can add a few very thin eyelashes, but I don't think black is a good option. Probably a dark gray would be better and a brown. So we're just doing, well, I guess we could do both, maybe not. We're doing the bottom eyelashes with a dark gray. Make sure the pencil's nice and sharp. I think my pencil sharpener needs to be charged. And then we really want to focus on getting the curves and how they clump together, the direction. Let's take a look at the app. They don't have to be exactly, but you do want to have the same direction at least in kind of the curved. So it goes one way on one side of the eye and one way on the other side of the eye. These are very fine. Now, I do feel like that these are a little bit too sharp. Personally, I think that. So we can just soften it up a little bit by just going over it in the same direction of the hairs. We don't want to go the side to side. We just want to go up and down to get that softer look. Let's see. Do I need to fix things up a little bit more? I think I might go in with a brown just a little bit. Let's play around with it. Don't do too much, just a little bit. Okay, I think those look pretty good. The only reason why I didn't do the eyelashes on the top is because I noticed that I need to work on this little fold right here. It's not right. It's not finished. So I'm going to finish this and then I'll do the upper eyelashes. You can't really see much of her upper lashes, but they are there. Kind of get stuck in the fold of her eyelid. Okay, so let's take a look. What is the lightest color that we see in that particular section? Okay, it's a dark tan. There's no doubt about it. At least the majority of it is a dark tan. So let's take that. And we're going to do circular motions. Circular motions. Using the side of the pencil. That way we can fill it in and make it look more even. Make it easier to have a blended effect later. And then the next color that I kind of see in this section is that, well, there might be a slight pink. So let's do a little layer of this peach color over top. And then we're going to do some shadows, which look like they are in brown. So we'll grab our brown. There's a shadow area on the bottom part of it, just above the eye. And then there's a shadowy bit underneath the fold of the eyelid. So we're going to do that too. So we can add a few little wrinkles now, I think. I feel like I need to darken the corner of her eyes a bit. Yeah, I also need to extend it a bit too, it looks like. Just right here is where that needs to stop. So we're going to fill that in. So I need, yeah, there's just that slight difference. You're playing spot the difference, but you are changing the differences as you go. And then we're going to add a little bit of black on the inner part. I think that looks better. So there's not very much texture going on with that little fold, but we can add a few lines, just a little bit. And then we're going to take the colorless pencil. Oh, guys, did you see that? The colorless pencil was right up in here. I don't know if you saw that. Oh. And we're following the direction of the lines. We're not going against it. We want to keep that texture, so that's why we're following the direction. We can add a little bit. Well, let me see. Let's take a look. I think we might need to add or remove some of the coloring. So we're gonna take the electric eraser. So I'm going to clean it first by rubbing it up against my clipboard here. You'll see my clipboard as like, the longer you watch my videos, the more dirty my clipboard's going to get. And then I'm going to have to get another one. Okay, so let's add some texture by erasing some of that color. Just a little bit. And then we're going to take the colorless pencil and we're just going to go over top of that one more time. And then the white pencil to help with those highlights. Help bring those highlights out a little bit more. Still tweaking it a little bit, making some minor changes. I need to have a transition color between the lash line and the skin. So we're going to have a little bit of a lighter color that's kind of in between the two here. I need to make that darker. Okay. There we go. So let's work on the top lashes now. You can't see very many of them. Let's take a quick study. There is a little bit. Let's go over to those. So just a very small amount that goes just past the fold of the eyelid. So just a little bit. So we're really trying to follow the direction of the hair, the eyelashes, and do a slight curve too. And then we can also, because the eyelashes also kind of scoop down over top of the eye, so we can do a little bit of hairs just going right over top. Just over top here, and we got the eyelashes. Okay, now let's work a little bit more underneath the eye, bottom eyelid. So what is the color of the wrinkles? They're pretty light, so I want to try to stick with a light color. It's a mixture of that dark tan and also a little bit of light brown. All my browns look the same. So it's lighter on the top and then in this corner. It's lighter right here and then it's darker here and darker here. So we're going to start with the lightest. Turn off the strobe for a minute. Place my pencil where I'm going to be working, and then we're going to turn down the opacity to the point where we can see the tip of our pencil. And we're going to try our best to mimic the place or get the placement right, but this is only really good for learning how to do this. Getting used to creating texture, you don't have to do it this detailed. Like when you get up really close to objects, they stop looking like the object and start looking like abstract. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We are going to work on this a little bit more after I show you a quick little slideshow. This is the point where it shut down on me, so let's hope that it doesn't shut down on me again. If I disappear, just give me about like anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes and I will start back up, and then, yeah. So, I'll see you guys in a bit.
Vinci Eye uses your phone's camera feed and lays a transparent picture that you want to draw over that camera feed. If you look at your phone's screen, you'll be able to see both the picture that you want to draw and the place where you want to draw it at the same time. This lets you easily trace an image onto any surface. To get started, you need to place your phone on top of a tall glass. If your phone doesn't have a case, it might slide around when you touch it. This makes adjusting settings while you're drawing very difficult. To fix this, cut a long piece of tape and fold it into a loop. Place the tape loop on top of your glass, and this will stop the phone from moving around. You can also place a tape loop on the bottom of your glass to stop the glass from moving around. If you're a lefty or a righty, it doesn't matter. You can position the phone any way that is easiest for you to draw. The higher that your phone is positioned, the more of the canvas you'll be able to see and the larger the picture you will be able to draw. Tall aerosol spray cans work great, or you can use one of our Vinci Eye phone stands, which lets you easily adjust the height and position of your phone. Links to these stands can be found in the app. Now it's time to position the image on your paper. Press the move button, and using one finger you can pan the image. Using 2 fingers, you can zoom, shrink, and rotate the image. When the move button is unpressed, the camera will be locked together with the reference image. This lets you zoom out to see your drawing as a whole, or zoom in so you can draw fine details. To make your image more or less transparent, you can use the opacity slider. Move the slider to the left to make your picture more transparent, and to the right to make it less transparent. If you find that your pencil or paper is blurry as you're drawing, you can adjust the focus of your camera by pressing Tools, then Camera, and then Fix Focus. To record a time lapse, like this one while you draw, press Tools, then scroll all the way to the right, press the Record option, and then press the Record On switch. One of the most powerful tools in the app is the strobe feature. This strobes the image on and off so that you can compare color values and you can see places where you still need to draw. In addition to the multiple filters in the Filters tab, there is also the Breakdown feature in the Breakdown tab. This breaks down your image into layers by color value.
For beginners, it turns your photos into a draw by numbers project. Or for advanced artists, it can help you analyze the structure and composition of what you are about to draw or paint. If you need help with anything, you can always press the help question mark in the top right-hand corner of the screen. From there, you can watch instructional videos, check out our frequently asked questions, and even email us. We usually respond to emails extremely fast, and we love to hear from artists and aspiring artists using our app. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest to see instructional videos and demos of how to use all of the amazing features that are in Vinci Eye.
To get started with AR mode, you will need to create an anchor. An anchor locks your reference image in place, so you can move your phone or your canvas, and as long as the anchor is in the camera's view, your reference image will align itself back perfectly with what you are drawing. To get started, take a business card-sized piece of paper, or larger. Then take a black marker and do your best Jackson Pollock impression. Make a lot of squiggles with many intersecting points and different shapes. The more tiny little details, the better. The larger you make your anchor, the further away from your canvas you can have the phone and still have accurate placement. It's a good idea to tape your anchor in place on your paper before you draw.
This ensures that your reference image will always be in the right place. You should be prompted to make an anchor right away. However, if you want to make a new anchor, press Tools, then AR, then Anchors. To upload your anchor, press Add Anchor in the top right corner of the screen. Press the purple button at the bottom of the screen to bring up the camera. Make sure your camera is perfectly level with the anchor. You don't want to have it tilted like this or like this, or else it could distort your overlay image when it is projected onto your paper. When you're finished taking a picture, press the OK button at the bottom right corner of the screen. Next, you need to crop your anchor. Drag the corners of the cropping frame to the edges of your anchor. Make sure there is no background visible. Then, press Crop at the top right corner of the screen. The last step is to measure your anchor. Make sure that it is at least 3.5 inches or 8 centimeters wide. Now press Done. Now press Use Anchor. Your image should now appear on top of the anchor whenever the anchor is in view. Do not hold the phone in your hand and try to draw. You can easily make a stand out of objects found around your house, like with tape and a tall glass, tape and a tall spray can. You can also purchase an inexpensive stand like this one. A link to stands that we recommend can be found in the app. If your camera is not in focus, press Tools, then Camera, and then Fix Focus. This will refocus the camera to your paper. Your image will appear in the center of your anchor. To position your image on your paper, use 2 fingers to zoom out so you can see your paper as a whole. Then press the Move button, and using 1 finger, you can pan your image. Using 2 fingers, you can enlarge, shrink, and rotate your image. When you're done, make sure to press the Move button again to lock the image in proportion so you can zoom in to draw fine details, or you can zoom out to see your drawing as a whole. Now you can adjust the opacity. Press the opacity button in the bottom right corner of the screen to make the image more or less transparent. To apply image filters, go to Tools, then Filters, and then press the Filters button. Filters can make your image easier to draw by helping you see different elements more clearly. You can also use the Breakdown tool by going to Tools, then Breakdown, and then Setup. This lets you break down your image into layers by color value. This is great for turning any image into a paint by numbers tutorial, or if you're an advanced artist, it can help you analyze the no-tan or structure and composition of your artwork. To use the strobe feature, go to Tools, then Strobe. This tool slowly flashes the overlay image on and off, allowing you to easily compare color values of your reference image to your drawing. This is one of the most powerful tools in the entire app. To get to the last absolutely need-to-know feature, press Tools, then slide all the way to the right and press Record. Then turn the record switch on. This lets you record awesome time lapses of your artwork without the overlay, just like this one. Make sure if you post your time-lapse videos on social media to tag us at Vinci Eye for a repost. If you need help with anything, you can always press the help question mark in the top right corner of the screen. From there, you can check out our frequently asked questions, watch instructional videos, and even email us. We usually respond extremely fast emails and love to hear from artists and aspiring artists using the app. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest to see instructional videos and demos how to use all of the awesome features Vinci Eye has built in.
How come nobody told me my mic was off? Why didn't anybody tell me my mic was off? You guys are not nice to me. You guys don't like listening to me talk. Anyways, I think I've repeated myself a million times already. Should I continue on? Right now, I'm just kind of softening up those lines a bit by going over it with the colorless pencil. Yeah, I just want it to just be soft. Okay, let's take a look at the shadows that are underneath these wrinkles. I'm going to take this dark tan, do some circular motions, and I just noticed there's like a shadow that's just pretty much everywhere down here, so we can put a little bit more pressure than we were before to get it a little bit darker. Okay, and then most of the shadows are underneath the wrinkles, so we can do a little bit of a transition shadowing right underneath it. We want to keep it pretty light on top. So this makes it look like it's actually part of the skin. So we're just doing a shadow right underneath. It's not as dark as the wrinkle itself, but we do need to have that little transitioning. Okay, for the lines that are going up and down, let's take a look. We'll just add more texture to it. I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on here, and we're just adding lines to create that texture. There isn't really much like obvious, well, there's only like dark and light lines. That's the only things that I see there. There's not a third tone like I do in the other sections that I see in the other sections. So we're just going to add these lines. And then I'm going to take the electric eraser and just kind of pick up the lighter areas that are in between the lines. I'm not doing this exact at this point. So I was just cleaning it off by rubbing it up against, like rubbing it on my my clipboard. So we're gonna go in between the lines, pick up some of those lighter areas. And then I'm going to take my horse hairbrush. This is not a hairbrush for horses. This is a brush made out of horsehair. This just helps clean up the dust and the eraser bits. Not all pencils will erase, as I said before, but some of them do. And then an electric eraser just works better. Now I'm going to go across these lines, especially the darker sections, just following the direction so that we can, you know, make these look like it's more part of the skin than it is just laying or floating in front of it. And then we can make it a little bit darker, I think. You can take some of this dark brown, doing circular motions. Just trying to fill it in a little bit more. It's just not dark enough in some of the sections, so we're just going to add that. Okay, let's turn on the strobe we're done trying to put the placement of the wrinkles in the right spot. We're mostly focusing on working on the shades and the colors. Can't speak. Okay. And just a little bit lighter, but it's lighter pressure with the pencil right here, but it still needs to be darker than it was. And while we're blending, we're just going to go with the direction of the lines of the wrinkles because we want to preserve those textures. And then we need to add a little bit more pink. Or it's kind of orange. It's not pink, it's orange. Let's add some, I think it might be too orange. Let's take a look. Let's do a quick reference check before we decide what color it needs to be. Now I'm going to add a little bit of this peach over top of it. Just a little bit. Light pressure and circular motions just to kind of balance out how orange this is because I think I made it a little bit too orange. Okay, I think we can move on to some of the darker wrinkles. Let's see where the shadows are, which they are, again, still underneath. They're underneath these wrinkles. And some of these shadows are actually quite a bit bigger than they were in the previous ones. So we're just doing some darker, adding some more to it to get it darker, doing light pressure and circular motions. Because this is such small sections, I am actually using the tip of the pencil, which is not something I normally do. I'm just glancing between my printed reference and the drawing. There's a few little rogue things that I'm doing. Not quite following the rest, like the exact bits. I don't know. I'm doing some abstract texture just to make it little bit more hyper-realistic looking. And then I kind of do like a transition texture. We're gonna do a little bit of this into that and a little bit of that into this for like the type of texture we're creating. So it's not like a really hard transition between those things because we want it to look like it's part of the face, like it's one face instead of just a bunch of different sections like you picked up Like you cut out a texture and placed it there. You cut out a different texture, place it there. You want to kind of blend it together. I think you could use a little bit more of a pink tone right in here, just to darken it up a bit. We'll just keep on adding more and more layers, and the best, and being able to add more layers is actually really good to help get the texture, the placement, the colors, the shades all right, because it's really, colored pencils are not very forgiving. Depending on the pencils, you may be able to erase a little bit, but you won't be able to erase a whole bunch. Okay, let's add some more of this brown and make some of these wrinkles really dark. You can have the lines of the wrinkles kind of broken up into pieces, so it's not just a perfect line that goes all the way across. Just kind of break it up a bit so it's got a little bit more realistic, more of a realistic look to it. But we definitely need to darken up some of these lines. So doing dark lines, we could also do a little transition shade right underneath them so it's got more of a 3D look instead of just lines over top of the face. Keep the bright marks or the bright sections over top. So you don't want to draw over top of the, like above the wrinkles. Just leave it very light. I think I'm going to add some more darkness to some of these wrinkles on the top here. I just feel like they're not dark enough as well. So let's just do that real quick. And there's one here, one wrinkle that's really dark on this side and then just kind of gets lighter as it goes across. And then again, you want to do a transition shading that's just underneath it. Now we're just doing some lighter ones, kind of just fade into the light section. So medium shading that just fade into the rest of the lighter sections. Okay, how is that looking to you? Is it looking pretty good? I don't know. I'm going to add a little bit more of this dark skin tone. There isn't really bright white areas, so we're going to do light pressure and circular motions all over this because, again, there's not really like super bright whites. And let's finish this off. I think it's ready to be finished off for that section particularly. And then we can work on the other eye. I feel like this eye needs to be a little bit darker. But yeah. So let's use the blending pencil, just following the direction of the wrinkles. I'm kind of just slightly on the bottom side of the wrinkles so that I can keep the shadow below it. Because if you do it slightly, like if you do it in the middle, it's going to go on both sides. But if you go slightly on the bottom, it'll just stay on the bottom. And we can take some of those darker shadows, the bigger wrinkles, and just really bring it down, doing circular motions. Still trying to stay away from those really bright areas though. I still feel like it needs to be darker even still. And then also I see a little bit of yellow. So I'm going to add this really pale cream colored yellow over top of it. So we're going to do that. I'm putting like medium pressure on this to get that color in there. And again, there's not very many like super bright highlighted areas, so we don't need to worry about preserving white. Okay, now I just really want to fill in this so that we can get rid of that paper texture. Because I like that. I like the smooth look. I know it's not a smooth texture, but I still want to make it look like a painting rather than a pencil drawing on paper. And for those little circles, we can just go over top of it in a circular motions as well for those little spots. Let's see, do we have any dots that need to be in here? It looks like it's mostly just like underneath the eye, little aging spots. And they're pretty big. But there's nothing else really popping out on me that's got like a dotted texture. So I'm just going to do those. And then just very, very small amount of highlighted sections. Very particular about the placement of these. So we're going to take the electric pencil or electric eraser, and then we're just going to add a few highlights. But don't do a whole bunch, just a little bit. And then there's some in here too. And you want them to be more on top of the wrinkles, like above the wrinkles, not below. Okay, I think I need to tweak the eye itself because it's not dark enough. I don't think it's dark enough. Like I think the blue highlights took over and it needs to be a little bit more brown than it actually, like that I made it to be. So we're gonna go over and fill in the brown a little bit more. Okay, should we do the eyebrow on this side or should we move on to the second eye? I think we'll move on to the second eye. She doesn't really have very much eyebrows, so we'll do the eyebrows when we do the forehead. But we're gonna, yeah. I find that when you focus mostly on the eyes, it just looks better. Do the eyes first, then the nose, then the mouth, forehead, cheeks, chin. This one is very interesting. Looks very different compared to the other eye. It could be partly because of how the light's hitting the face, but like, I don't know. It's kind of... So let's turn off the strobe. Just very fascinated by this. So I'm putting my pencil down right where I'm going to work on, and then I'm going to turn down the opacity to the point where I just see the tip of the pencil. And we're going to use a brown to trace the lines of, or the shapes of the eye. We just want to get the shapes right first. We might be able to trace the placement of some of the more obvious wrinkles or folds in the face. We just want to do this lightly so that we have plenty of time to adjust it as we go. But only just do this in the dark areas, really dark areas. Okay, let's go in a little closer to this right here. Let's see. Looks like you see mostly just like the shadows and like it's pretty dark. The eye is really, really dark. There's not very much white of the eye, or at least it doesn't look that way. Only draw what you see. Don't make up things that you don't see, but that makes sense. Like the things that people do is that they draw what they think they see. So like we know that there's eyelashes, but we don't really see the eyelashes, so we don't draw the eyelashes. Or you know there's white to the eye, but you don't see the white to the eye. You're actually seeing gray. So, but if you'd accidentally do white, then it just doesn't look right. So, got to be very careful. Got to be very careful with what colors you place down, even though with your extensive studying of how the eyes are normally, you need to be aware to make those changes. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Am I just rambling on? I feel like I just ramble on. Talk to me. So the whites of the eye is very gray. There's a little bit of like skin tone in there too. So we can add a little bit of like light brown in there and just adjust the colors. I'm thinking her eyes are probably going to be the most challenging part for me, like the actual eye. I think the rest of it's going to be fairly easy. Okay, let's preserve. I'm going to just draw the shape of these really bright highlights in her eye so we can preserve them and draw around them. We can darken them up a little bit more later. And then she's got like a blue edge around her eyes. got a very light blue. So there's a little bit of this blue on the top part here. And a little bit of blue on the side. It's not much, but I see it. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. Hey, does anybody know the best way to share image files in a large and organized manner? Like, I want to be able to put all my references that I do in these live videos easily accessible, even if you're watching these videos like years later and you still want to draw along with me. Like, anybody have any ideas? Okay, I'm gonna fill in the rest of this with a brown, but I'm doing a very light layer. And I'm doing circular motions, and I am using the tip of the pencil, but that's because the details that I'm putting in are super small. So I need a little bit more control over placement than I do for bigger sections. And then there's a really dark section right in here. I'm going to use a little bit of black. I am doing light pressure and circular motions. And then I think I'm going to go in with gray. Do we have a gray in our pile of pencils we're collecting? I like to collect the pencils we use so that I can keep it looking like it's cohesive and part of the same face, because yeah, there's many different ways to draw this, to color it in, but I do want to try to stick to the same color palette all the way through. Do I need to add a little bit of gray in here? Because I feel like this is quite bright. Just a little layer of gray. Sometimes I notice things that I feel like need to be changed ever so slightly when I start working on a totally different section. So sometimes I'll go back to a finished piece or finished section and then work on it because I realize it's not quite finished anyways. I'm sorry. Looking at the drawing from the angle that you're looking at it now, looks like it's honestly from a lion or something, a cat. Okay, let's take a look and see what colors we need. Let's move this. No, close. No, it doesn't like me. Okay. So let's take a look at this on the tablet here. Let's do the bottom tear duct or lip of the eye. Let's see which color do we need. Then I'm going to just trace the outer edge of this, make sure it's in the right placement, the right shape, and then fill it in with light pressure, circular motions. And again, this is such a fine detail. I am using the tip of the pencil, so I have a little bit more control over placement. I really do need that control. Okay, now let's see what color we need for the top part. I think we're going to start off with a brown because I kind of see mostly like it's brown and then it's black or like red greenish. I'm just gonna get that shape down. Now we can change the color a little bit, doing circular motions, light pressure, and using the tip of the pencil because we want that control. Okay, let's turn on the strobe again, turn up the opacity to its fullest, and let's take a look at it. See what needs to be changed. The tear duct is up and over a little bit more, so we're going to fix that placement. Light pressure and circular motions. Okay, now I'm going to look at the reference on the tablet because I feel like I can see a lot more detail that way, so I can make better decisions. I'm going to put a little bit more pressure and get that black down. I think I might go over the black with a little bit of green and a little bit of red, just to kind of bring it back to life. Because honestly, the strange thing, black, like the color black exists in the real world. It does. But like when you take a picture of it or you're looking at it, you don't actually really see it. You kind of see shades of gray, really dark gray, and a little bit of white if it's like reflecting light really well. But like black exists, but it's not something we actually see when we take pictures and stuff. Does that make any sense? There's always light hitting it. So it's just a dark gray. And just adding some of that red into some sections of where that brown is on the iris of the eye. Okay, now Let's get some green. I'm going to use a dark green. And this just makes it look really dark, but not dead. You want it to still look alive. I think I still need some of that red just above, kind of like a transition color. Let's see what differences we can see in comparison to the app, what the app's telling me to change. So let's make this section a little thicker. And then bring that dark section over a little bit more. I'm going to add some green over it to make it a little bit more darker than it was. You still need to make this lip of the eye a little bit wider still. Just a little bit. Okay. I think we're doing pretty good. I'm just going to add a little bit more darker shades of brown in the iris of the eye. We're going to darken it up and we're going to try to finish it off a little bit. Ready to varnish it, I think is what it's called. Just to make it so that we starting to turn into more of a painting look than a pencil look. So we're putting a little bit more pressure down than we were before. And there's a little bit of skin tone look to it in like the lighter sections. So I'm going to add that as well. And then even that skin tone is in that whites of the eyes too. Her eyes are really interesting. They're just very interesting and odd. Well, they're probably not odd. They just look odd from the lighting and the angle or whatever. Let's take the colorless pencil now. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. I didn't lose it this time. Okay, let's sharpen this up a little bit. I'm going to start off with the darker sections and we're going to work our way outwards, trying to preserve some of those really light areas. But we're going to just push this right in. We're going to try to make it, the texture of that paper just disappear. So it's nice and solid. This helps with a little bit of blending. And we can work our way to the lighter sections. I need to bring up some highlights, especially in the corners of the eyes, with the electric eraser. We are running low on this eraser here. We might need to change it. These erasers that are in here are actually quite, I don't know, denser. They're just harder than the other ones. And these are very small highlights that I'm putting up. So I'm going to just dab it right onto the paper and then pick it up immediately. And I think I need to add a little bit more blue and just a little darker blue too at the top. I think these are just reflections from her surroundings. And we're going to blend that in. Then we're going to take that white pencil, get some of those lighter areas, just a little bit more. The lighter areas just a little bit more lighter. And then it also kind of gives it a painted look too. Okay, let's take that horse hairbrush. Not a brush for horses, just a brush made out of horsehair. Okay, how is that looking? Do I need to change things? I feel like I need to change so many things, but I think I need more context in the drawing. I don't know if I need to, what I mean by that is if I need to just do the rest of it and see if I still feel like there's changes that still need to be made. I'm getting to the point where I can't add more pencil over top of it. Now let's see if we can find the lightest sections of the eyes and slowly build up to it, to the darker. So we're going to do the base of the lightest color. We're going to do the texture in the darkest color, and together it will come together. So it does look like there is white. We do see white. Or something very close to white. So we're going to leave those sections that are bright, and then we're going to go around it with some light skin tone. So we're going to try to leave most of that. So we can go over a little bit of those bright white highlights, but we have to do kind of like a transition, blended kind of technique. So light pressure and circular motions. I am trying to have a little bit more control over the placement of this color because I really don't want to go over those white sections or those really bright sections. And there's a darker spot here. So doing this will help build up the structure of the face too. And we're going to slowly build up. Slowly build it up. Start with the lights and work our way to the darks. Also try to look for the colors, the undertones, and all that too, so you can layer that on top as well. Okay. Let's take a look at a different section, see if we still need to use this color or if we need to go darker. I think we can use a darker tan, darker skin tone. Where did it go? Right, there it is. So light pressure and circular motions. We can go past those areas that are beyond where we see this color. Just make sure it's softer, pressure around the edges so that we can get like a really nice blended look. I know I repeat myself a lot, but sometimes just the repetitive instructions is what helps you remember when you go on your own and do it yourself. Right underneath here as well. So we're building up the colors, the base colors, the lightest colors, and the structure all at once. And again, we want to slowly build it up so we can have more layers, so we can have more opportunity to fix things as we go. Because again, colored pencils are really not forgiving. Like there's some that can erase a little bit, but some can erase a little bit. Okay, let's bring in some warmer tones. We can start off with a pink, a really peachy color. And now I'm more focused on the reference that I see because I kind of already have the placement down. I just need to add the color in the right spots. And then we need to bring some orange into it too. Is it time for me to leave yet? I need to stretch. I should have stretched on my break, but I didn't stretch. Okay. You know what? I think I might go in with like this warm brown. I'm gonna go in the darker spot right here. It's kind of like an orangey brown. So let's do circular motions and light pressure. And where else is this kind of orange brown? I think it's on the bottom part of the top eyelid. So light pressure and circular motions, because we want a lot of opportunity to change things if needed. It's just a slow process. Take your time. Just breathe in, breathe out. Listen to some nice soft music. Okay, I do think we need to have more of a bright orange in some areas, like right in here. There's a bright orange. It's very small, but I'm gonna add that right now. And then there's another section that's a bright orange right here. Just such a small change. And there's a little bit on this part too, on the bottom. So now we've built up the base. I do think I need to do some more undertones in some areas. Like this right here needs to be a little orange too. So let's add that there and up here a little bit, very softly. So circular motions, light pressure. Let's see what other undertones we can find in this general area. So just like the other side, there is a slight blue just underneath the lip of the, like the bottom lid, just at the bottom lid, eyelid. And then we need to add a little bit of pink still. And I think we are just about ready to do some detailed work. So I'm going to start off with the top eyelid. So let's turn off the strobe for a minute because we're going to get the placement of the wrinkles first. So we're going to turn down the opacity until we just see the tip of our pencil, so we know where we're drawing. And then we want to see mostly the reference so we can see the placement. So I'm using a dark brown to get those really dark wrinkles. Okay, now that we got the placement down, I do see some other stuff. Let's see. We got a little bit of a beauty mark here. It's kind of like a crescent shaped because the top part of it is touching the light. So we'll just do like a moon, a crescent moon. And then we're gonna add a few more little wrinkles right here and some dots. Just a few dots, very small lines, just to create some texture going on there. Okay, now we can turn the strobe back on. So turn up the opacity and put on the strobe. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find those shadows and where they are in comparison to the lines. So I'm still using that same brown, and it looks like for the most part the shadows are underneath the wrinkles, just like the rest of it. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they're not right underneath the wrinkles. It depends on how the light's hitting the face. If the light was coming from underneath the face, then the majority of the highlights would be coming from the bottom. You can darken up this line a little bit more. And then make that shadow a little bit wider. I need it to be a little bit wider. So I'm going to make it go down a little bit further. And I'm going to take a dark skin tone and I'm going to place it on the very bottom of this top eyelid. Doing circular motions. I'm trying to fill it in a bit more, putting a little bit more pressure than I was in previous sections. But I am using the tip of the pencil because I'm also trying to control the placement a little bit more. Finer details, more control, you can use the tip of the pencil. Bigger sections, you try to use the side of the pencil instead. I'm gonna add a little tiny bit of black, just a tiny, tiny amount right in this corner. Is this black? Yes, that's black. And then a little bit on beside it, just those really, really, really dark sections. So it's kind of broken up. It's not a continuous line. It's just broken up so that we can create a little texture while what we're doing. We're creating a little bit of texture underneath those wrinkles. Okay, taking the colorless blending pencil, I'm going to start off with the dark crease, and I'm going to slightly be on the lower part of it. I'm not going on top of the line. I'm just going slightly lower, not going above it. This way I can keep those shadows underneath that wrinkle, underneath that crease. And while we're blending, we're kind of just trying to follow the lines. You're not going in circular motions. I am trying to create texture, so I'm just dragging it sideways. There are a few lighter spots, so I'm going to take this electric eraser and pick up a few sections. We're using this to create a little bit more texture. I'm going to go over it a little bit with this white pencil too. Okay, now let's see. We're going to work on some more wrinkles, and this one is on the top part of the upper eyelid. So let's turn off the strobe and turn it down until we see at the tip of the pencil. Let's see, how dark are these wrinkles and shadowy bits? They're not that dark in comparison to the rest of the rest of the wrinkles. So doing light pressure and circular motions. This little section right here is just darker in general. So I'm just going to do that. Fill that entire space. And then we can put down the placement of those wrinkles. Again, this is good for practicing learning how to do textures. But once you get used to being able to create the textures and know where they're supposed to, how they're supposed to look in certain places, then you can go ahead and just have fun with it. Because essentially when you get into hyper-realistic artwork, the smaller sections actually look more abstract than they do realistic. Look realistic. You don't have to be perfect, but if you're learning how to create texture, this is a great way to learn. Okay, now that we got the placement of those wrinkles, you can go in and start refining them, making them have more depth to them, 3D. We're sculpting a 2D surface. This is actually, I'm really liking this. Even though this is the first time I attempted to do hyper-realistic art. Oh, I'm sorry. Ugh. I'm going to get those really dark wrinkles first. Putting in quite a bit of pressure, just redefining these little sections. And they can be a little bit chopped up. They can be a little thicker in some sections, a little thinner in others. Don't have to be a continuous line. It can be lighter. In fact, it is lighter on the edges than it is in the center. So you can do it nice and thick in the center or darker. And we're going to do those lighter wrinkles with lighter pressure. You even can go over some of these wrinkles with a little bit of like a dark skin tone too. We're starting to get a little bit of dotted and very tiny little lines in here. And some of it's due to the fact of the eyebrows. But we're going to not worry too much about the eyebrows right now. We can add them later. I'm hearing some interesting sounds coming from somewhere. I think I might have, well, no, we do have a mouse in the house and we've been trying to catch it. So I think there might be a mouse in our room, which sucks. Now we're going to try to create some of those shadows that are just underneath the, actually, let me take a look. Let me just study this a little bit. So the shadows on here are on both sides of the lines. That scratching sound is going to drive me crazy. So yeah, the shadows on these wrinkles are kind of on both sides. Sometimes the highlights are on the left side. It sounds like it's getting louder. Okay. We're going to stop from there. I'm going to try to figure out what the heck that noise is. Okay, so just a little bit of an intro. If you guys want to share your artwork for the next live slideshow, please send me some of your drawings through my email. My email is in the description. And also just tell me your name, and I will put those in the following slideshow. I would really like to be more than just me and another artist. It would be nice to have a wide range, even if you're a beginner or you're a seasoned artist. As long as you're using the app, different styles too would be amazing. And then also for future videos, you can request me to do different mediums, different types of crafts, different subjects. You can request me to draw a very particular photo, whether that be a family member or a pet. I'm willing to do that for you. And I will even send you my finished drawing afterwards. No need to pay for shipping and handling. It's 100% free if you want me to do that. Promo codes for the app. You can try the app for free for a year with the iOS. The promo code is also in the description. Android is currently free because they just dropped their new version of it and they want people to try it and give honest reviews on that, so they can make some changes if necessary. But there are ads for the free version of it. But once you try it and you know you like it, pay for it as soon as possible, because they will keep you at the price that you originally agreed upon throughout the rest of your life. If you need any tech support, you can contact the app developer at info@davinciieapp.com. If you need a little extra help setting up, you can find me on the Facebook group, Vinci Eye Apps group, and I can even potentially do a one-on-one video call with you so I can get you set up. Join the Facebook community. There I do annual challenges and competitions for cash prizes. And you could, I also check the Facebook group daily. So if there's anybody asking questions, I will answer those questions. And also you can interact with more of the artists personally and post your work and get honest feedback from each other. So yeah, it's a great place to be. And thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're watching this after the fact, please say hi in the comments below. I'd really like to see who's actually watching these videos. Also, for those who are watching this right now, please like the video right now before it disappears, because I really want to see how many people are actually enjoying this. So, this is awesome. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I'm going to be live every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And it's going to be Thursdays until school starts up again, because everybody's schedule is going to be all over the place. But again, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next week.